Foolish Lord, Happy Nuns, and Itchy Armpits. On this week's episode, we have Politics in Disgrace, Nuns in Delight, and Deodorant in Disarray. And Mark and Pete take on truth, wit, and a whiff of something rather unpleasant. Yes, welcome to Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. Now here is our first story for this episode.
Rotten relations. Be ye foe or be ye friend? Perhaps be ye friend or foe, because either way in the end, be careful who you know. Yes, well, Mr. Peter Mandelson, yes, do be careful who you have relationships with. Well, and Peter Mandelson did say recently that he was proud and privileged to be the UK's ambassador to the United States. That was after he was sacked by Keir Starmer. Now, of course, he was fired over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is something that has caused not just scandal to Mr. Peter Mandelson, but also, Mr. Pete, I ask you the big question, surely not just on judgment with Peter Mandelson, but the judgment on Sir Keir Starmer for appointing him in the first place. What say you about this saga?
Yes, I mean, Mandelson, who seemed to be a rather clever, rather Machiavellian politician back in the day during his time in politics. More recently, has taken rather few missteps, shall we say. And when we look back on what he was actually doing beside the scene, if it included writing rather foolish, we would say, letters to Jeffrey Epstein after he'd been found guilty, well, we've got to say he's not so much of a dark lord as a foolish lord, as we said at our intro. He's been, I think he was deceived into thinking that he had to show loyalty to someone who obviously had bad morals, and I use that particular term because in the Bible, it talks about how morals corrupt. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Now, while I'm not, of course, suggesting that Mandelson had a particularly spotless character in the first place, it looks like his meeting with people who are wealthy, influential, charming possibly, and having a certain amount of power has corrupted him even further. It looks like Starmer didn't know what he was doing and went on the past reputation of Mandelson rather than doing a proper due diligence into what Mandelson was like.
Yes. What's remarkable here, if you look at the history of this, is Sir Keir Starmer explicitly asked Lord Mandelson about his links to convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein before deciding to appoint him as UK ambassador to the United States. Now, what's interesting is that in Parliament, as this subject surfaced, the opposition clearly challenged Starmer, who ironically, only a few days prior to actually sacking him, said, "I have confidence in him."
Of course.
Well,
that's what they always say.
What they always say. But the thing here is that with the fallout of this, not only is it perhaps sort of soured the relationships a little bit with the United States, because now that we have this unfortunate situation where that another person has to be appointed. Now, at the moment, James Roscoe is the deputy head of mission at the British Embassy in Washington, and he's been named as an interim replacement. So we'll see whether he gets the full job or somebody else gets it. But either way, it's still, I come back to the big question is, why was Mandelson appointed in the first place? Because it was known that he had a relationship with Epstein. And what's also becoming surfacing through this is that courtroom documents, materials that has really highlighted that Mandelson had an ongoing relationship with him. And even at
Yeah.
the point when Jeffrey Epstein had been accused and, in fact, found guilty,
Hmm.
unfortunately, Mandelson continued to have the relationship with him, albeit that, shall we say, through correspondence and many other things. We won't necessarily go into all the detail. So, again, it comes back to judgment. But to me, when I look at the bigger picture of this, is with all of the antics that have been going on in government, it still reflects back on Sir Keir Starmer on the judgment of appointing him in the first place.
Yeah.
This has been very much a stop-start government, for a government that's only been in place for just over a year.
Yeah, I know,
So
it's surprising,
again,
isn't it? Yeah.
I suppose, well, it is surprising, but I suppose the question here is now, we're due to have a state visit from Donald Trump soon, and so obviously we want to have a good relationship with the United States, but surely the spotlight has to be on Sir Keir Starmer, and where on earth is he taking this country?
Yes, where indeed. I mean, one of the themes that you see in setting up a new church is that the use of the word discernment. So if you're appointing a member of staff, a member of your team, you're discerning. It's taken from a biblical verse about discerning the spirits. And I think the same is true of politics. Being able, as a leader, being able to discern whether you've got someone of the right character. They say not just do they have the skills or the right character to appoint to a role, is a very important attribute. And if you don't have that discernment, you shouldn't be a leader at all. And it looks like Keir Starmer had. Now, on this show, we've criticised, one of our criticisms of the president, you just mentioned President Trump, although, of course, we're big fans on this show. We criticised him during his first term for this lack of discernment, for appointing people who were actually part of the blob or deep state, basically were against his actual agenda. And so not showing great discernment. Now, in this case, in that case, he seems to have made good in his second term. I don't think that Keir Starmer is going to get a second term. I don't think he's going to be in place much longer.
It's not looking good, is it?
Going like this. His discernment is woefully lacking in many respects. I mean, look at his appointment of, who can we say, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Foreign Secretary, Home Secretary. Lack of discernment is not a bug. This is a feature of Keir Starmer and his leadership style.
Yes. Well, now I suppose I have to ask the question, which is, ironically, the Dark Lord, as often many of the media have sort of coined Peter Mandelson because of some of his antics, is not unfamiliar to scandal. When he was in Tony Blair's government, he was sacked a couple of times, either through taking money from a colleague to pay for a house and many other different issues. But he's always bounced back. And so my question really is that, whilst that, there are indiscretions, let's be honest, political careers have been blighted by this, and Peter Mandelson is not the only one. Can you see any way back for his position in public office, or is it really is the end?
I would think that, but he's getting on a bit now, isn't he? I don't think you need to leave a bit of time before you make a comeback after something coming to light like this. Not so much a blunder now, it's something coming to light. And you need time, and I just don't think there is time. Although I know if you take Biden and Trump, we like our leaders apparently to be at least 100 before we even think of appointing them. But I think there are exceptions. I think just normally you'd say Mandelson was towards the end of his career, wouldn't you?
Well, I certainly would now.
Well, yes. But I mean, he doesn't have enough time to live it down.
The sad part about this is what I think is the sad part, because we know that he's a smooth operator. Playing to the strength of Mandelson, he had a wealth of understanding of politics, of business. He understood parliamentary procedures very, very well. So ironically, I could sort of understand why people thought that he might actually be able to do the job. And I think that though he actually, ironically, in all of this scandal, the surfacing of his criticism of Donald Trump before Donald Trump actually became the president of the United States for the second time. Mandelson was highly critical of him. I won't necessarily read out his statement because I think it was a very unkind statement. But anyway, the point being is it's all about political judgment. In my opinion, I don't see how anyone could ever allow him back into major public office again. So I think that really that's a chapter in his political career gone. Maybe we'll see the book. I can see that happening.
Oh yeah, looking forward to reading it.
So look out for that, folks. Let's move on to a different story. Now, this is one which does make you smile. For those who are none too pleased. If in life a woman wants to frolic with fun, perhaps it is best not to become a nun, unless you have nasty habits and go on the run, then all your vows will come undone. Yes, well, for those who have been carefully scrutinising in the media, defiant nuns have fled a care home for their abandoned convent in the Alps. Well, these nuns are well into their 80s, have decided to actually run away from their retirement home because they felt that they were much better placed to go back to their former convent. Now, Sister Bernadette, who's 88, Sister Regina, who's 86, and Sister Rita, who's 82, are the three nuns from the Kloster Goldstein convent in Elsbethon, and it's just outside of Salzburg. Now, the thing here is, which really strikes me, is the fact that they've collaborated to flee their care home. Mr. Pete, I ask you, the nuns on the run. It just you couldn't make it up, could you? Yes, there was the film, but no, here's the reality. They've escaped and they want to go back to their schloss. Yes, let me see. Do you think they've done the right thing, or should they actually be back in their care home?
Well, I think they've done the right thing. When I was working some years ago as minister in a church in Edgware, there was a convent near where I worked, run by nuns, and they were kicked out of their convent. And what happened was that they negotiated being able to live next to it. They got some land and they lived next to it in these little rooms. And I thought that was wrong. I think that the way that, well, in that particular case, there would have been enough money available to allow people to keep up the building and to keep them in position. What they did was they let them live basically next to the premises until they died. So that's good, but I think they could have gone further and let them continue to work in the actual place. That was because numbers had gone down, and I imagine something like that happened here because nunneries and convents don't have as many people in them these days. Like a lot of these things, as ups and downs, there may well be another resurgence of them, as there was in the early 20th century. So you never know. There could well be more back. But yeah, I think from their point of view, they did the right thing. Don't just give up, give in, stay in a care home. If you can, keep on going. Why retire if you love what you're doing? Get back in that nunnery and get praying. I tell you what, we need as much prayer going on as possible these days. So I'm very pleased that they've gone back. Obviously, I don't want them to suffer because of it. Physically, they could suffer rather than being cared for in their care home. Presumably, that's what was happening. I still think it's worth taking this step because what ends up happening, however well you're cared for, once your purpose in life has gone, you go downhill. So probably a wise decision from them.
Well, let's give a little bit of extra detail to those who felt that they should be better in the care home. Well, the actual Schloss Goldstein just looks like some typical schloss from a children's fairy story. However, unfortunately, as the building has got older and older through time, it has no water or power. And so, of course, obviously, it was really in the interest of, the care home owners to say, maybe it might be better for you to stay where you are. However, the fact is that this particular schloss, this building, has had, many different lives. It had been a private girls' school. It had even been a boys' school. It had gone through many different things. Of course, it had it had been created since, I think, 1877. Has gone through world wars and many other things. I don't mean the nuns, of course, but the fact of the matter is, it's seen better times and also some bad times. But either way, these three nuns probably felt that it was their home. And I think that that's probably the thing that, well into their 80s, they probably felt that they wanted to continue the work that they were doing, as you quite rightly say. And they probably wanted independence. I suppose this is always the balance, isn't it? When you reach a certain point in life when you suddenly think, yes, it would be nice to be in a care home, but maybe that independence is really the sacrifice that they're prepared to take.
Yes.
I think that's something that we have to sort of consider here, because it's not just about the nuns per se. For anyone who maybe is listening, our more mature members of our listeners are probably thinking, yes, I'd rather be at home, or I'd rather sort of continue working. And one of the things that I think is crucial about the nuns is they set out, when they decided to become nuns, their vows. They didn't want that to be compromised. And of course, it's a lifelong commitment, as you know, from somebody who's worked in the religious communities and many others. You don't simply cut off and stop. So I suppose really the question really here is that are we sending out a signal then that they basically there is no limit to age when it comes to a worthy cause?
Well, this is it. I think that I referred to prayer earlier, which is one of the things you can do, which is a vital part of a spiritual well-being in the world, as well as praying for specific things to happen. It ups the spiritual temperature for everyone if we have people putting in some actual work in prayer. So them going on back to do that in their schloss, as you say, I think it is a good thing. I mean, it's just, you referred earlier to a nun film, Nuns on the Run. I think this is, with their return, this is Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, and so that, which is of course a classic, and much like the film, I think that I think this is going to be successful to them. But there will become a point, just a word of caution, when they will need maybe to return to this care home, or to get more help where they are in this schloss, because there is a limit, however well intentioned they are, to the age at which you can continue in such a difficult place to run.
Well, I agree. Well, we wish them all of the best. Now, here's a different story, which is just the pits. Armpits are furry and fickle, but get sweaty, which often trickle. Although they get stinky, for some it is kinky, and they're also fun to tickle. Yes, well, there's a particular breaking story, which unfortunately a well-known deodorant brand has apologized after some of its roll-on products reportedly left customers with itchy, burning armpits. Rather an unpleasant thought in itself. Yes, the product is Mitchum, and has apologized for customers to say that really that their product has let people down. In fact, one particular woman said, "I started smelling really bad," which was the indication that things were not going well. So, Mr. Pete, I ask you, personal hygiene is very much uppermost in people's minds today, but when those products cause you harm, it causes a big stink.
Well, yes. I mean, it's there is other elements of amusement to this one. I mean, just because I guess armpits are amusing, aren't they? And having stinky armpits when you've used a perfectly good product, even itchy armpits, could produce amusing antics. But about a company that's producing a deodorant and it actually makes you smell worse. I mean, the phrase "you had one job" comes to mind, and it just to reflect on this a bit more broadly. When we buy products from shops, when we go into the supermarket, it says it does this, we just take it and assume it's going to do it, and it sort of brings you up short when you realise that's not always the case. And so we need to be a bit more careful, I think, on products that we just pick up. In the case of a deodorant, you need to test it out on a bit of your skin first, rather than going straight into the armpits. But I guess if you trusted Mitchum's products, you just had no reason to think that this one would be any worse than the others. So it's very serious, even though it does seem amusing, because it could have been something worse. What if than a bit of itching? Who knows what it might have done? What if it dissolved your armpit and you didn't have any arms anymore? What is if you used it in your armpits and your crotch and you had no arms or legs? Yeah, I suppose they'd say, "Don't come crawling back to us if you do that." But jokes aside, it could have been something worse. You have to be very. Yeah. They should be punished very severely for this lapse.
Yes,
I don't know what is in place for that. I don't know if you know.
No, well, I must say that, for those people who are always on the go, trying to get out and about in their daily lives, if they'd have just sort of rolled on and rolled out, suddenly find that out in public with itchy armpits, you probably would have thought that you would have spawned a raging set of baboons with people. I can imagine the scene. But the worst part about this is what form of compensation can you have?
Yes,
I mean, here, it ruins your day. It ruins your personal well-being and stature. The irony is that the company doesn't just produce roll-ons; it produces shower gels, many other different things, other cleaning products to sort of help people to be more fragrant. But I think that the question is do we overdo it? This is a different angle I'm taking on here, but are we a little bit too reliant on these type of products? Obviously, with a regular wash, you would have thought that would have been enough, but or is that not enough for people today?
What we're talking about here as a deodorant, that's really just putting another scent on you. Usually that's not harmful. You can have an allergic response to the chemicals in it, but usually it isn't. It's when you have an antiperspirant. Antiperspirant actually blocks your pores and stops you sweating. That's not really a good idea, because if you're sweating, then frankly you need to sweat. It's a way of you losing heat. You'll get too hot, and you don't want to be getting hot and bothered. Let me tell you. So. Yes. I personally don't use antiperspirants, but do use deodorants because for that very reason. I don't want my pores blocked up. But yes, I think we do put we put our faith in these products, not just to do with personal hygiene, all different products, and that's why we need to come down on them really hard when a product fails us. But I guess to answer your broader question, do we just put too much faith in products like this? If you have a wash every day, surely you'll smell all right.
Well, exactly. I think many
use
people
soap. Just use water. Use some warm water. You'll be all right.
Well.
Maybe a bit of
just
soap.
Scrape yourself down. Yeah. Yes, many people have taken to TikTok and basically shared their videos of the problems. It's almost like a horror show, where basically a lot of them had secondary chemical burns on their armpits. So that's how serious it got. Well, I guess that really what we're saying here is an obvious theme. There's some right stink in politics, but unfortunately, if you go to the products that maybe you do or do not need, yes, read the label and be careful.
Always read the label, yes. Well, I guess we're coming to the end of the show for this week. Let's just, Mr. Marcus, ask the listeners to send in comments as usual. The way to do it is go to markandpete.com. Make sure that you're subscribed via Spreaker. That's where it takes you to the website it takes you to, and then you can leave a comment on this, and in fact every episode. I've got a Bible verse just to tie up here. That is from 2 Corinthians 2 verse 15. For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ among those who are being saved and those who are perishing. Because in the end, just to give a bit of a religious bookend to this. In the end, it's not the stink of politics or the scent of perfume that matters. We're meant to carry the fragrance of Christ wherever you go. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks very much for listening. Catch you next time.